Students, now we have an activity uh, of the forces. How to draw the force diagram, the force diagram, as well as free body diagram. So must able to draw the force diagram and also the free body diagram. The block is at rest on flat surface. So the block is at rest. Remember, if we draw the force diagram, we use the box. So this side, it will be free body diagram. We know free body diagram dot, but the force diagram we use the box. Okay, so now a normal force, it must be a contact force, and it is always perpendicular to the surface. There is also weight going downwards. Now here I'm having, there is a force, that will be force applied. So what I can have here in addition, although I don't want to add it, okay, once is at rest, there's a force applied, so we can bring the concept of what? The static frictional force. I can bring the concept of, there's a static frictional force which is opposite direction to that. The force applied will be equals to the static frictional force. Let me have, this one is a normal. I will be having the force applied, more or less this, the static frictional force, and the force applied must be in opposite direction. But what I know in exam, what is going to guide me, it will be allocation of marks. If this one is counting 4 marks, and no, there will be 4 forces acting there. So the guidance, I will be guided by the marks on that side. If this one was counting 3 marks, the static frictional force, I think, if you allow me, I can remove that. So there will be normal force, weight, and force applied. Okay. So now the object moves at constant velocity. So once this object is moving at constant velocity, what is saying to me? It says to me the frictional force, together with force applied must be almost equal, because this is a constant velocity. Then I'll be still having the normal force. I'll be still having now the weight that will be downwards. Or even this side, it will be the force being applied, and also the kinetic frictional force. So we need to be careful again. They can ask you to draw only the forces parallel to the slope. That will be only 2 forces. But if you draw all the forces, so you will be requested to indicate the normal as well as to indicate the weight for that matter. Okay, so this will be the free body diagrams. So then the object moves constant velocity while friction force is present. So we know I'm having the normal, then I'll be having the weight. So then I'm having the force applied. There is a friction. There is a friction going this side, which is the kinetic frictional force. So it must be kinetic frictional force. Then I'll be having the normal away from the dot, force applied away from dot. There is a friction on this side, kinetic frictional force, and now I'll be having the weight. So this is constant acceleration, not constant velocity. Constant acceleration, not constant velocity, because but now we are practicing the free body diagram. Let me not go into the formula of Newton's laws. Okay, so constant velocity. So this one we have. I'm going to draw a box. So remember, this vector, it must touch the box, which is the force applied. Then I'll be having the normal. I'm going to have also the weight there. So the friction, now the frictional force, so I'll be having the kinetic, the object moves to the right, friction, it has to oppose the motion. Friction, it has to oppose the motion. So my friction would be acting to this is kinetic frictional force. It has to touch, it must touch the box. Then this side I'll be having the dot. Because this is free body diagram, so there will be normal. So I'm having the weight. So this away, force applied, it must be away. So the frictional force, it must be in opposite of that. Okay, then now constant acceleration. So I'm having the box here. So this one, it must be the force applied. Frictional force is exerted. So the friction is exerted. Then there is a normal, and there is also the weight. Okay, this one I'll be having the force applied. Then I'll be having the normal force. I'll be having the weight, and then this one, it will be the kinetic frictional force. Okay, so this one is an incline. The block is at rest, it's an at incline. It's a box free body diagram. The free body diagram, then I'll be having the box, so it's incline plane. Then I know weight is directed downwards, and then now normal force, it must be perpendicular to the surface. So here it will be a dot, and then uh, so this one will be weight, then I'll be having the normal force will be in that way. Okay, so block then we also have remember, for the calculations now, there is also the one of the components. So I'll be having that will be normal. I'll be having this normal. Then I'll be having weight. I'll be having weight perpendicular. So I'll be having this weight perpendicular. So then I'll be having that weight being parallel to the slope. So okay, this side in terms of components, so for calculations, I know the dot will be there. So this will be the normal. So I'll be having this force, which is weight parallel, or it can be FG parallel. Then I'll be having this one W perpendicular or FG perpendicular. Okay, now this must be a dot there. All right, then with friction, this time with friction. So now if we slide down with friction, I'll be having this box. So then the weight is downwards, then normal is there. So now the object is sliding downwards, so the frictional force is opposing that. Okay, or it can be in terms of components, can be in terms of components. I'll be having this. Okay, so that will be force going up. So we know this one is normal. Then now I'll be having weight parallel. I'll be having weight perpendicular. Then now, because it's moving downwards, then now this side I'll be having kinetic. Okay, same applies to this side. Then I'm having weight is downwards. Then now this will be my normal force. This will be the kinetic frictional force, or it can be in terms of components. So in terms of components, so now the components of weight, so it will be this one going down, weight being parallel, and the other one is weight being perpendicular, or FG. So I still have normal, I still have because it's moving down, the friction, it has to be less. Okay, then now the block is being pulled up. So it's being pulled up, it's being pulled up. Then I must have the force applied, and the friction is present, and the friction is present. Then the weight is always downwards. Then I'll be having normal force. So, or the one that will be The component, I'm going to have W parallel. I'll be having W perpendicular. I'll be having normal. That will be force applied. I'll be having kinetic frictional force. Okay, this side, the dot, weight directed downwards. Then there's a normal, because there's a force, there's a force applied because you pull, and there is also the kinetic frictional force. Or it can be in terms of components. Remember, the components is for calculations. So components is for calculations. There is a dot. Now there's a normal. There is a force. There is a force. There's a force applied. There's a force applied. Now it's a friction. Then we also have weight parallel and weight perpendicular. Okay, now we also have the system to object. So this is for B, the free body diagram for B. There's a force diagram. There's a force diagram. We know that will be normal. I'm going to have normal. Then I'll be having the weight. Then now there will be the tension. Now friction present. So that will be kinetic frictional force. Then for A, so there is normal, there is a weight, there is a force applied, then there is a tension in opposite. I can say T1, T2. There is also the frictional force. Okay, so then this side for B, the free body diagram, is a dot. So there's a normal, there's a T1, there is a kinetic frictional force, there is a weight. For A, the dot, free body diagram, so it's a normal, there's a force applied, there's a weight, there's a tension there, T2, there's a kinetic frictional force. All right, then what about this one for B? The friction is present, Friction is present. This is normal. It's a weight. Now T1, kinetic frictional force. Then now for A, remember, I need to remember this one. For A, we'll have, there's a normal, there's a force applied, there's a weight, there's a weight, then there is a friction. There's a kinetic frictional force. So this one we can also work it out as components of the forces. So you'll refer at the top there. I didn't draw the components of the forces here, or you can have the components of the forces. So remember to have the components of the force. Then now I'll be having the normal, I'll be having the force, which is force vertical. I'll be having the force horizontal. I'll be also having, now there is the weight, there is kinetic frictional force. So now we can also have the force, this one will be normal, then we have weight. So because now we are pushing it, force horizontal will be that way, force vertical, then there will be the kinetic frictional force. So you can have them. You can have these questions. A nice question for the practice. You can have components, the free body diagram, for B. There is a normal. There is why this one is greater. There's a normal, more or less equal to weight. Then there is the string T1. There is a kinetic friction. So for A, I'll be having the force applied. There's a normal, weight, then now here I left out T2, so there will be T2, also the friction, then we can have component of what? We can have component of this free body diagram. There's also component for that one. Okay, then this one for A, then I'm having A free body diagram. So there's a normal, myself weight. Then now Newton's third law here. So for A will be the force, and there will be force of B on A. The force of B on A is pushing that way. So for B, now there's a normal, there's a weight, there is a force being applied, and this side there is a force of what? A on B there. Okay, so I'm sure most of you are expecting to see this force applied on that sketch of A. We are pushing this object for that B to be accelerated to the right because of the force being applied. So we put it on that side of B there. But remember, I made a mistake by doing what here? It must be force diagram. So it must be force diagram, not free body diagram. I made a mistake there to draw. Now I made a mistake there to draw the free body diagram. It's supposed to be force diagram, which is the box. So now I'm having the normal. This is for A. I'll be having weight. There's a friction. There's a friction. Then now there is a force that pushing A to the left is the force of B on A. Then B, for B to accelerate to the right, because of what? Because of the force being applied. So there is a normal, there is a weight. It must be with the force of A on B. There's still friction. Okay, the side A, free body diagram, normal, weight, the force of B on A, friction. Oh, there's no force there. I don't have force here. Then for B, normal, weight, force applied, force of A on B, and a kinetic. Okay, a ball falls downwards. There is an air friction. There's an air friction. Okay, the ball going down. It falls, so you can't indicate normal force because this one, normal force, it must be contact force. Air friction. So the friction, it will be air friction, it will be in opposite. So the friction, because it's moving, I can say kinetic, or just say F for air. Maybe it's moving downwards. If the friction is not there, it will be a free fall. A ball is thrown vertical upwards. Ignore air friction. The ball is thrown vertical upwards. This is a projectile. There is only one force is acting, which is weight. This side, one force is acting, which is only one force acting there, which is the gravitational force. Let me say, because this one next will be doing projectile, the only force acting is the gravitational force. The only force acting is the gravitational force. So I think the best way is to change this W to make it Fg. Is the gravitational force. That's an only force acting there. A block hangs at rest on a rope. So the force diagram, so that will be tension and the gravitational force. So it's hanging there. So that will be Ft or T and also gravitational force. They must be equal in opposite direction. All right. A block is lowered at constant velocity. So it's lowered at constant velocity. So now I'm having the weight, which is gravitational force, and now I'll be having tension on that side. Is a tension. Be constant. This and these two forces, they are equal in opposite direction. So I'm having the tension, I'm having the gravitational force. Now the system of the two blocks accelerate. So now for A, because now it's moving up, this tension will be greater than Fg. So for B, this tension will be less to Fg. So you must be careful because it's accelerating downwards. The weight will be greater there. So A will be this tension greater than weight or gravitational force. The B, the dot is here, but this one tension is smaller, gravitational force is bigger. Okay, that will be a tension there. You can say this one T1, T2, T1, T2 there. All right. So for A, the system accelerates, experience a friction. Now there's a normal, there's a normal, there's a friction, there's a weight, there's a T, I'm going to call it T1. So for B is hanging. So now this will be T2. Now remember, we said we're going to change our language. It's Fg, gravitational force. So this side, a dot. This is A, normal, Fk, Fg, T1. The B, it will be our T2, our Fg there. Okay. Now, the block stays at rest while the truck accelerates to the right. Plot the diagram for the block only. So now we have a normal with the weight. So meaning you can have normal, you can have the gravitational force. To change the language, now this 5.19 is the last one for a day. Block B is at rest on top of block A while A accelerated to the right. Surface beneath A has no friction. A has no friction. B, there's what? There's a normal. There's a weight for B, gravitational force. So then there's a force. There is a force of what? The force of A on B. Yeah, it must be force of A on B. This is B there. Then now the other mistake, it must be the force diagram. You see now I'm making mistake because the question papers will say draw free body diagram. Draw free body diagram. So you're going to do same mistake as mine now. So there's a normal, there's this force of A on B, then there is gravitational force. There is a gravitational force. Then what about A? There's a force applied. So there is normal and there is gravitational force. There is the force of P on A. Then this side There's a normal, there's a force of A on B, there's a gravitational force. What about A? Now this normal, there is gravitational force, there is force applied, there's a force applied, then we also have the force of B on A. Okay, thank you very much. That was long session for drawing the free body diagram. I hope this will help us. Okay, thank you very much.